All right. Yay, we're live.
Yikes.
Okay. Oh, trying to figure this out. Sorry, we're running a little late, but that's all right. We're just trying to figure this out. Okay. Yay.
Let's see if I can get connected here.
So David's going to see, this is our first one we've done together. It's only my second one. My first one was kind of fly by the seat of my pants. This one kind of is too. We'll get better at this, I know. Anyhow, so let's see. Anything I need right here?
I don't see the live.
I don't either. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it.
Well,
See if you
but we
can.
should. I want to be able to see if there's
We're
anybody
live.
there.
Just so you know, we're
Yeah.
live.
That's good.
Okay.
I won't pick my nose.
Okay, good. Like,
But I don't see if anybody comes to the side.
I don't either. Try under notifications, maybe. Let's see. Oh, here it is. So go under your notifications.
Okay.
There it is. So basically, they can. Okay. All right. I think we got it together. So this is the. So this time I wanted to actually see if anybody shows up, so I can. Because last time I couldn't see. But okay. So I think we got it together. We know we're live. We got our camera angled. I think you can see us. You can see our board. Hopefully you can hear us. That's the only thing I can't double check right now, but it should be good. So, but basically we wanted to talk to you today about air dry clay ornaments and gift tags because now is the season, right? And I have had a little bit of time, not a ton, but a little bit of time that I got to kind of play with it because I thought what a fun thing to do is to do some personalized gift tags with this air dry clay. So I want to show you a couple of things just to give you some ideas, some things that I did. I'll show you some really basic painting techniques that I used on them if you want to duplicate that. And maybe we can see if David can come up. He's the creative one, so he'll come up with something funky for sure. But to start with, I'm just going to show you some basic ideas that I did. So probably anybody in this group has worked with air dry clay. If you haven't and you've just worked with regular clay, it works exactly the same way other than you don't have to fire it. You just let it dry for a couple days and it gets really hard. So like for example, I did these air dry gift tag actually about a week ago, and it's very, very hard. Okay. So again, great for the ease of things. And so I've come up with some ideas to give you in case you want to do your own. So basically, you can tell all the things that I've done. I've basically rolled out the air dry clay onto my board and then cut it out either with cookie cutters or with my pin tool. So, for example, this is a D I made, and I just cut it out with my pin tool. You can see it's not really thick, not really thin. I just rolled it out, shaped it. I put with my pin tool, I also put a hole in the top so that I can hang it or put it on a gift. Because these are actually pretty cool because you can use it as a gift tag, and then if it's something like this, you could use it as an ornament afterwards, right? So kind of multi-purpose. So I had done a couple like this. Of course, D for David, and then
Oh,
A
that was dog.
D for dog, or dog, that's fine. A for Amy. And again, just some ideas, and I put a little hole in it so I could attach these to the top of gifts after I paint them. So some other ideas. I've got, so I did this, which I actually kind of really love. So this is I used 3 different size cookie cutters of the hearts, right? And what I did is I put a hole in the top and the bottom of the top heart, top and the bottom of the middle heart, and then just the top of the little heart at the end. And so I rolled it out pretty easy, right? And then I used one of our little doilies. A lot of you have seen me use before. And I love, if you haven't done this before, I love the material doilies. They make great texture in any kind of clay, whether it's kiln fired or air dry. So I actually, once I rolled and cut out the hearts, I placed the doily on it, and then I rolled the doily into it. Now I actually, you could put, um, you could put the doily in the middle and just make a whole pattern. I actually personally like to usually do it on part of it because I think it kind of gives a cool effect. So that's what I did on those, and then after it dried, I came back, and I'm going to show you the painting technique that I used to do this, where I just highlighted the pattern. Um, and then I actually had some really great art wire, like just great for crafts. And I had some beads. And so I just put it together like this, where it's kind of, so it's not really, I guess, a gift tag, although that would be a really cool
That'd be a
gift.
cool gift tag for a refrigerator. Or...
Yeah, but I love it. It's kind of a cool ornament or hanging. I actually made, ooh, I kind of want to get it, but that's all right. I made something like this a few years ago with my niece's names on it, and then I put like some random pieces of copper in between, and I think it looks gorgeous. And so I have it hanging in my window. So these are really fun, especially since with the air dry clay. Um, I did find something that should waterproof it, but if you don't do waterproof it, you're just gonna have something like this hanging in your house. So anyhow, another kind of cool idea. And let's see. And then, of course, we can keep it kind of simple. So this one, you can see I used a basic cookie cutter. And then I did the doily. Well, I don't know if you can really see it. I did actually do a doily pattern on this. I didn't highlight it a whole lot, so I don't know that you can see it. But it up close is kind of cool because it looks very textured. Hopefully you can see that. um, And then after it dried, I painted it, and then I actually, you know what? Actually, on this one, I didn't paint it. I used some random glitter fingernail polish, and I thought it looked really great, so I just kind of put that all over it, and then I painted an A on top. So that would be like a really cool gift tag that could double as an ornament afterwards. So again, that's very simple, but still really cool, right? And then ooh, I'll show you this other thing he just ran and got for me. So and then this one did the same kind of thing, an art wire. It's a black art wire, used some beads. I actually, and I can show you how I did this too, but in the clay when it was wet, I used letters and indented them in and used also the back of my paintbrush, this, to make the little pattern. I just stuck it in the clay while it was still wet. And then after it dried, I painted it. And again, I can show you how I do that to highlight like any indentations or anything. There's actually a really easy way to paint that to highlight. And then I came back over it with some more fingernail polish just because I've been playing around and I had some random stuff and I thought, well, let me try that. And I thought it looked kind of cool. So, and clearly I don't really use it for my fingers, so I mean, I might as well use it on this, right? So anyhow, those are lots of fun ideas. So let me show you. And don't worry, I will let David get a word in edgewise at some point. Anyhow, so this is the one I was telling you about that I made previously. This is with kiln-fired clay, but it's exactly the same process. And I just used some matte oxides on it. And I had letters, so I put texture, and then I put in my niece's names, and then I use, like I said, it's kind of a wire string. I don't know what it is, but it's really cool. Anyhow, and it was kind of, again, I find wire really works well as opposed to, it's a little easier for me to work with for things like this than ribbon. And then I had some random pieces of copper. Actually, David's mom had random pieces of copper, and I just raided her craft drawer. And some very cool little beads. And you can see, just like on the other one, I put holes in the top and the bottom, top and the bottom, top and the bottom. And then the last one, I just put a hole in the top because we don't need one for the bottom, right? But I love this. I think it turned out really, really good. Hopefully you can see that okay. So again, this is really just to give you some ideas. Lots of different things you can do. Okay. Ooh, I see Deli's. See, again, we're getting. I'll get the hang of the Facebook Live thing at some point.
How do you get your messages on? Your messages are coming up, mine don't show.
I don't know.
Okay.
We don't. I'm sorry. One of these days, we're actually going to know what we're doing with the Facebook Live, but we're like, you know what? Let's just do it. We haven't had a lot of time to prepare, but you know what? This is all good. So anyhow, hi Amanda, hi Deli. Okay. So.
Hey guys.
And if we look mad at you at any point, we're not. We're just we are both like squinting and stuff. Anyhow.
Although my eyes are getting much better.
Actually, yeah.
My eye surgery was 100% successful. For those of you who know, I've been blind for over a year. I mean, literally in one eye.
But you know what?
I can see.
He hides it well.
Yeah.
And now he can see. So.
No more bruises from running into things.
I was like, gosh, I hope he still likes me after he can see again. But he does, so we're good. Okay. So I'm also going to show you some more complicated things. I showed you the really, just to give you, again, I'm really just going to seed some ideas. All of the things I've shown you so far is really just rolling out the clay, using cookie cutters, some texture, doily texture stuff that I press into the clay using the roller. So again, all things that I'm sure you all know how to do. If for some reason you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to our website, to the at-home pottery projects, right now the bird and the cat class are free. The on-demand, just use the code pay it forward. And then you can go, and there's a whole section that talks about basic techniques as far as cutting things out with pin tools, which is how you can use cookie cutters, of course, but I usually just kind of cut things out myself. And then, textures, how you can roll the clay. It tells you how to do all that stuff. So like I said, if you've never done that and you need to know how, or you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, just go to, again, happylifepottery.com and go to, hopefully he's coming back. And then go to at-home pottery projects, and the bird and the cat class are actually free with the code, and then you can learn all that stuff. Also, some very exciting, for me, it's very exciting because I work hard on these classes. The on-demand classes take a long time. So I'm very excited because this weekend I'm launching the flower one, which is awesome. It's one of our favorite classes, and if you've never seen the flower displays, and it's awesome. So you can do it with air dry clay. I can do bigger ones myself with air dry, but kiln fired clay, we've done it now for a while. They're gorgeous. So that's going to be launched. And the dog class will be launched in about a week. I'm almost done with that. So, yay! Okay. Anyhow, but back to ornaments and gift tags. So I've given you some really good basic information and ideas and things. And again, I'll show you some really basic painting tips that will hopefully help you a little bit. And let's see. Oh, but some more complicated things. All right. So we're actually going to do, I think we're going to do a little contest for to see. Hopefully you come up with some creative, we've got such a creative community that I'd love to see what you guys come up with. But so I'm going to use a couple examples to give, again, to kind of seed your creativity a little further, especially in case you want to do the competition, because why not? So this one I did, it's not a cookie cutter, so I freehanded with the pin tool. I cut out the heart, which I love the shape myself. You see on the back. And then what I did is David had the idea of like taking a bead or something and pressing it in while the clay is damp, and then when it dries, pulling the bead out and then gluing it back, and then painting it and then gluing it back in, which is a great way to do it. I started doing that, and then I got really crazy and I loved it. So, but then I didn't want to take all the beads out and glue them on. So what I ended up doing for this guy is I left all the beads in, and then when it dried, of course, if you touch the beads, they'll come out. So what I did is I used some silverish paint, silver pearl paint, craft paint, and then I used a little brush and kind of got in between there and used a wet paper towel to kind of brush off the tops of the wherever I got paint. And then when I got done with that, I went over it with this folk art acrylic paint. It was extreme glitter. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's extreme glitter. And anyhow, I went over the whole thing again, so it made it, you can't see it really well here, but in the light, it's really sparkly and cool. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. And that way I could be kind of lazy and not have to go glue all the different beads back in. I could kind of get it stuck on with those paints. And then I went back over it with Krylon triple thick clear glaze, which I use a lot because it's a thicker, whoops, sorry. I forgot to put my phone on
Do not disturb.
do not disturb or silent, sorry. My bad. Okay. That will be better now. Anyhow, but it turned out, I think, really, really good. I used the clear glaze. Also, just so you know, we have got a couple really exciting upgrades to the air dry kits. I was finally able to get a wholesale account for some art suppliers, which is awesome. I've been trying for a really long time. So a lot of times when I talk about in classes that I use like Krylon triple thick, or I'll use a brush on Deco Art triple thick, or I found a great one for waterproofing the air dry clay, which is Aileen's acrylic sealer, gloss finish. People will say, "Oh, where do you get them?" You can get them on Amazon, of course, anything. But finally, actually got them. I'm going to have a small amount in the store, so if you want to order them, I'll put them online at some point, or you want to come in the store, I have them there. So yay. And also we're upgrading finally the paint for the air dry kits. And also for the air dry kits, I also have now these boards that are included. So if you've already purchased an air dry kit and you don't have the board because it's the old kit, just stop back in the store and we'll give you the board now that we have some great stuff. And also, same thing with the paints. David doesn't even know this yet. This is all new to him. He's like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I'm really excited. Finally, I tried a bunch of paints, been trying a bunch. And of course, the basic set that I usually have included, it's just basic acrylics, nothing special, nothing fancy. You kind of have to mix to get some of the colors, but that works fine. Nothing wrong with that. However, now I have their Ceram Coat. What are they called? Gloss. Oh shoot, I'm blanking. It's not. Yeah, but it's not. It's enamels. That's what it is. It's enamels.
It's not acrylic. It's acrylic enamel or enamel?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
Don't
but
eat it.
The cool thing about it is, so it does give better coverage, and it's a slightly glossy finish, which is nice. But the other thing about this, which is really cool, is we always talk about when you're using kiln fired clay in our pottery projects, we always say when we glaze them for you, it's like, look, we can't do a lot of things with color, so you'll have to come back yourself if you want to do different things with color. So you can use like nail polishes and different things to touch up. But what also works great are enamels. And these things that come in the air dry clay kit, if you ever do anything with kiln fired clay and you want to come back and touch up your things, this is made for this. So if you use these on glass or fired ceramics, what it does is it tells you, the instructions on the back will tell you to, I think you let it dry, you can let it dry for 48 hours, or you bake it in the oven, basically to make sure it doesn't scrape off when you have like such a solid, non-porous surface. So this is awesome because it's basically serving double duty now, and I'm so excited.
And we have it in the store.
Yes, and we have it in the store. And you know what? I'll probably go ahead and, now that I can get them in quantity, I'll probably go ahead and at least have those available so you can further buy separately if you want to also. But otherwise, they're going to be in the air dry clay kit. And again, if you've already purchased the kit and you have the old set, and you're like feeling jealous, don't, because just stop by the store and we'll give you one of the new paint sets and the board now that I think will be a little bit easier to work on than the plastic surface. The plastic surface is still great, and I use it a lot for painting so I don't mess up my surface. So anyhow, okay, I got all that in. So I'm going to say the other thing. The last thing I will say before I finally let David talk.
Hi, Lori.
is okay. I was trying to come up with some neat ideas for doing air dry clay ornaments and gift tags and things. And again, I think for gift tags, you just keep it simple, texture, no texture, just use cookie cutters, roll it out. Um, and David will show you also a little trick that we have for cutting out with cookie cutters that will round the edges and make your life a lot easier so you don't have sharp edges. Um, but while I was playing with that, I realized there's something else, another class I want to show you guys. It's a little more advanced, so for some of you that have done a few classes that are up for the challenge, I'm so excited about this. Let me show you what I did. I actually spilled water on it before I just did this morning, so it's not dried yet, and then I spilled water on it, but it's held up just fine. So, okay, so I love doing the faces, and a lot of you know that I did the face mug classes. I started doing that before March, which we haven't obviously been able to do in a while, but I'm going to finally I'm going to advertise it, but for Christmas, I think before Christmas, I'm going to start making I have face mugs that I'm actually going to sell finally. And that's going to be kind of exciting because I haven't done that yet. But I love, oh, okay. Maybe we did and I didn't know. That's cool.
People begged. They pulled out cash. She'll never know.
I'm totally wrong. That's okay. But I love showing people how to do faces. And a lot of people want to know, how do I do a face? Now, it doesn't have to be as involved as this, but there's a process that I can walk you through step by step. And so I think I'll try to, if possible, create another class on demand before Christmas. So if you wanted to do anything like these, I just love this. I took a round cookie cutter and, basically did a face on it. So I think it's going to be a really cute little ornament. And if I was going to use this as an ornament / gift tag, what I would do is once it dries, I would paint the face, and on the back, paint the back, and then just paint like to so-and-so from Amy. And then you have a really cool double duty, gift tag / ornament. So it's also a gift kind of in itself, so I hope
you put magnets on it.
That's what I was thinking too. Yes, you could put
wind chimes.
Glue some magnets. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Fire stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Anyhow,
that's a secret. We'll talk about that.
Well, and the cool thing about these is that the faces is, even though I'm going to show you on air dry clay because these are great for ornaments since they're not outside usually. Again, remember everything we're showing you at the air dry clay that we sell. I can't speak to all air dry clays, but this I love. I never thought I would love air dry clay, but this is awesome stuff. But it's the same techniques that we do with regular kiln and fire clay. So you can sign up for a creation session when I put more online at some point, and you could do them with regular, again, kiln and fired clay if you need to do it for things hanging outside or whatever. But again, you can learn this and do it with both air dry clay and kiln fire clay. Anyhow, so I'm excited about that. That's a new
not
new
everybody
idea.
Not everybody can go out and say that I make faces and get paid. My wife makes faces.
I do.
She does make faces.
This was probably patterned after my face at some point. I can be very expressive when I get going. So
this is where I get quiet again. And for those of you who know me and I seem like I'm nervous or maybe I need to use the restroom, I have a pinched nerve in my neck. And so if I'm doing kind of weird contortionist things, I am in pain.
Yeah. He doesn't have
I don't have a nervous disorder. I have a nerve disorder.
Yes. Which is a bummer. I know how that feels.
People say I have a lot of nerve and man, it's showing today. Anyway.
Awesome. So anyhow, I hope we've given you tons of ideas. We're just going to show you some really basic, like I said, I'll be happy to show some really basic painting techniques if you want to know how to do any of these things. And I don't know, we haven't really talked this through, so we'll see if David wants to. David can show you actually also how to round the edges and stuff like that. It's a nice little tip and trick that'll make your life a lot easier, especially if you're doing a bunch of these. So, anywho,
Okay.
I guess I'll let you talk now.
I have nothing to say.
Sorry.
Actually, the gift tag, whole concept of gift tags was something I kind of think I came up with, didn't I?
Well, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm aware of gift tags, so I may not have said anything, but it's been on my
I
radar.
vocalized it first, I think.
Right, it's been on my radar.
I claimed it, it's mine. But, you know, we have cookie cutters, of course, in the shop. You can do anything. You can freehand like she did the heart. If you wanted a traditional tag and you needed a template, any type of credit card, because it's plastic and you can trace around it. This would work if I wanted to make a whole bunch of really simple ones and then ornate them but they look more traditional. I could do that too.
Very nice, very nice.
So, what I'm going to do,
make some room.
I might use one of my cookie cutters and make a cute
Oh,
little
cute.
dog tag for Charlie.
Cute. That's my father-in-law's service dog, who is adorable. All right, cool.
Use a pinch. I'm going to actually use it.
Here, right there.
Yeah.
This is not our normal setup, so we just figure we kind of wing it and see how it goes.
Normal, that's a judgmental word, I think.
Probably.
Okay. I like this air dry clay because it really does stay malleable, workable longer.
Yeah, it does. And anytime, you're going to see this camera shake every time you slap it down. Anytime you're not using you take off a little bit of clay, I always stick it back with the original chunk and then just wrap that up. So.
Okay. Oh, we don't have one roller?
Did you
I
take
put
my
it
phone?
right there
Oh.
so I could see if people ask questions.
Nick and Lori! Hi!
See?
Hey! Well, so, okay, again, this is only my second Facebook Live. I'm a little behind the time. Sorry, guys. Anyhow, so the first one I did was, again, as usual, we were in a rush, and I ran down to the studio and did it, and I was like trying to figure something out that I never got to set up right. Anyhow, so I was like, okay, forget it. And I couldn't see when people came on or what they said or anything, and so anyhow, this time I was like, all right, I'm going to have my phone up so I can see what's going on if anybody comes on. Anyhow, so now I can see you. All right. So let me get this junk out of your way. Sorry, this is the only problem is I'm used to having a top-down camera, but this will be a little different for this. So David's just rolled out.
So I'm just going to take my saran wrap, since I'm using a cookie cutter, and like Amy said, what's nice about the saran wrap is it rounds the edges off. If you notice on her pieces, they're nice and rounded on the edges and not sharp and serrated. And so if I lay this on top of the clay, and I take my cookie cutter and I line it up and I gently press down, and you don't want to stick it to the clay like I did there. Just lay it on top because you want it to be able to move. So now when I press it down, there's two things that are going to happen. One is it's going to round the edges, but watch what happens when I pull up. Look at that. Okay, I'll get this to the camera. As if you can see, it stretched the edges around, but it didn't stick. The clay's not stuck inside my cookie cutter. And so I'm not pushing it down. And those that work with traditional clay, and I have not experienced this with the air dry clay, clay has memory. So it's like a piece of cardboard. If you bend it, it remembers. But since we're not firing this, I haven't seen anything. But if there's any chance of warping, that's when it's going to happen, when you bend it around and play with it. So now when I pull this out, make sure I went all the way through, which I did, I can take my saran wrap off, and I can reuse it. I don't need to throw this away. It's reusable unless you just go crazy and poke holes in it. That crazy what keeps popping up. And so now when I pull this off, I get this beautiful rounded edge, okay? And it's a lot of work to round those edges manually. And I can just take the extra clay and fold it back up. And guess what? I can double duty my wrap. Okay? So I can keep it from drying out. And so now I can start working on my tag. Did you bring letters on that? Didn't bring the
I
letters
did
over.
not. But I do have a pen. So if you write in clay, if you don't know this already, what's easier than a pen tool is a ballpoint pen. So we're going to have to make him do it old school because I forgot to bring the letters over.
For those of you who don't have a handy dog bone cookie cutter, if you notice the top of this and the bottom is almost a heart. Okay, so you can take, if you've got something a little bit more common as a heart, and you could take a piece of clay and press this down on this frame up on one side, press it on the other, and then just trace the lines, and you're going to end up with a dog bone.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't have letters. Gosh, I want to run and go get them.
I mean, you can. I'll show them some painting techniques if you want in the meantime.
Yeah, I might.
We're just
Well, the reason I was pausing on that is if no one has letters, I'm trying to think, well, what else could they use? So I'm trying to think of something I have in the house besides a pen.
Just saying. You can use this.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you want to go get the letters?
No, because it's really not fair. I get spoiled, y'all. I have really cool tools in the shop.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you poke your holes, did you just use a pen tool? You didn't cheat on that? Because they could use a straw.
No, I just use my pen tool. You mean the holes that I?
Yeah.
No, I just actually cut a circle, and then kind of cleaned up the edges a little bit.
If you wanted something consistent, you could use a drinking straw. Puts a fairly large circle in. Coffee straw would be a really great one to be a really small hole because it actually cores it out. So I'm just gonna. I have a choice on this. I could make a hanger like she did with a collage, the little hanger that she made. I can put the gift tag where I attach it with ribbon on the middle. And in theory, I could glue it to the package. But in this case, I'm going to decide to hang this on the edge. So on this side, I'm just going to cut my simple little hole. I'm a purist. Just get it to me. Ta-da. Like you said, I'm going to round those edges a little bit. Kind of make it look kind of cool. Bingo. Now, what's cool about these gift tags is they can be reusable. So I can put 2 on there and from and not put the name in. And then just write that on with a Sharpie or with another pen and use a dry erase marker and take it off. As long as I clear coat it, I can reuse them.
That's true.
You know?
Cool.
But in this case,
I like how you think.
I'm going to put 2. So I'm just going to I'm going to indent into the clay and then tap and put the 2.
This is where I miss, and I'll figure it out eventually when I have time to spend time on it, but I miss the top-down camera just so you can see what we're doing better, but we'll show you. He's just using a ballpoint pen to write
and
in
very gently writing, pushing down. And I suggest, and I do this in classes as well, I'm writing on my finished piece, which is bold. I might have taken a piece of that clay before I folded it up and practice. Anything I'm going to imprint, I don't necessarily have to go cold on a brand new piece that I've got all done.
So
practice on a piece of scrap.
Or you will end up with something like this, which I started off and realized I didn't have enough room to finish, so I thought, okay, I'll pretend like it was supposed to be funky, so I readjusted it, but he's right. It's a great idea to take like a pen tool or something, and you could either lightly write on it first to try to get your spacing right, and then once you have the spacing right, then go over it with a deeper line, like with the pen. Or if you don't get the spacing right, then at least it's just light lines, and you can just take your finger and erase it on the clay and try it again. So yeah.
So when you imprint in clay, since you're not cutting the clay out, you're pushing it around. It's just like, pushing and bumping up. So you're going to have edges. So if you just lightly tap, or if you don't want fingerprints on it, you could just lightly take the saran wrap over the top and just smooth it out just a little bit. Don't go too hard on it. And then you can kind of smooth your letters out. So in this case, I've left enough of an indentation there that I could put some paint. Just like that.
Cute. To Charlie.
To Charlie from David. Like I said, I can put to and from and leave it blank. I personally would probably be more inclined to recycling, but if it was in my own house. But what's cool about this is I put the gift tag on the edge here, okay? But depending on how you do it, I could have written on the back, okay? And decorated the other side.
Yes.
And then after, this becomes a gift in itself. Because depending on, I could put Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or Live Happy on the front, or just cool beads like Amy did on this. And on the back, it's going to look really cool in the package. And on the back, it would say basically the same thing. And is there a front and a back? Kind of, just because of my rolled edges. But depending on what the message was or how ornate I make the front, this becomes my magnet or potential for hanging into something else. So these are gift tags that become functional if you want to.
Yep. Exactly.
And so that's just an idea when you begin with the end in mind, which I just went crazy on this one and started writing on the front. But I could just as easily rub the other side and make this go both directions.
Yeah.
Okay, so on one side it's going to have this, and the other side I could put a magnet on it and put it in the fridge and remember for all time.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying hi to Esther because I just saw her pop up. Haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, Esther.
I miss you guys. Anyhow, and so what David's doing also, I know many of you have already heard this and seen me talk about this before, but when I smooth the edges, of course, because anytime, whether it's kiln fired clay or air dry clay, when the clay hardens or gets fired or whatever, you don't want it to be sharp, right? I personally do not use a lot of water right away. I'll use water as maybe a finishing touch of something to kind of refine things. But I use a dry finger for an. Oops. Is there anything I have to find? So, like what he was doing is using his dry finger and just kind of smoothing those edges. And again, you could use water, but it's a lot messier. And once you get your clay wet like that, your clay doesn't move as well. Your finger just slips over the surface because it's kind of degrading the surface. But to me, I don't think it helps that much. Like I said, I'll use water later if I need to kind of refine it in general. So just a dry finger should work for smoothing. Is there anything I help you find?
No, I'm just looking for different things of texture that everybody would have at home. Like,
okay.
Let's see, before I go poking on this, what I'll do is I don't need to flatten this out.
And remember, the backs of your brushes are fabulous for this. So the back of the score tool is rounded, and it makes a slightly larger indentation than the back of your paintbrush, which is also great for indentations, just smaller holes.
Yeah, but look how cool this is. Show them on the camera.
Oh, look at that. So this was the end of the battery. That's cool, huh? I mean, in earrings, I've seen people do really cool little cute things with earrings. So like this guy right here, I actually used the back of my paintbrush to create those dots, right? Cool. You'll find a bunch of cool little texture things for sure. All right, so I want to show you too just a really basic, just to kind of help a little bit. So let's say again you've made some ornaments and you've got the indentations with the letters and it's time to paint them. And again, like I showed you earlier, you could just, in this case, I just used fingernail polish over the whole thing and then I painted the A on it. So you could do that, totally good. But like in this case, I use the doilies to press in the pattern, but I want to highlight that pattern, right? So the way I did that, and then I've got another, I did the same kind of configuration, but instead of with hearts, with circles. And I want to show you really quick here. All right. So what I would do is, let's see, I'm gonna start with orange. I'm going to actually put down my plastic mat so I don't get stuff all over my board, because I will. I know me. Okay. All right. So I've got my palette. I may not need my palette actually with these paints. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to show you just kind of basically how I did this kind of thing, this kind of pattern, and how I highlighted the pattern. So I had my, again, I did the same thing with circles. I had rolled in the doily to create that little pattern, and I like to do it over part of it instead of the whole thing. It gives it a different look. And then what I would do is, and again, these new paints seem to have better coverage, which is awesome. This one. And the consistency is pretty good. I didn't end up using any water with it at all. So what I'm going to do first is just, you can cover the whole thing. You don't have to have any of the pattern show initially, but basically all I'm going to do is put a light coating over of the base color. And with all paints, including probably these two, even though these are definitely a little more of an upgrade. And for those of you that didn't hear earlier, these are going to be included with the kits now. So if you got an older kit and you got the older paints, just stop by and we'll give you the new one. We're not going to keep refilling them. Sorry, I can't do that. But I will give you one upgrade of the paint. So normally what I do is I'll do one coat using brush strokes one way. And if it's not a heavy enough coat, if it's not like like an even enough coverage for me, what I'll do is I'll come back when it's dry, and this one's dry, and then I'll take my paint and I'll go the opposite way with my brush strokes than I did the first time. And that usually will give you a really nice solid coverage. Okay. All right. And what I like to have on hand a lot of times too when I'm doing this kind of stuff is a hairdryer, because that way I don't have to wait for everything to dry. I won't do that to you now because that would be really obnoxious to listen to my hairdryer in the camera.
It'll mess up my hair too.
Anyhow, so you can do, again, this is the second coat. It gave it really, and I used the brush strokes going the opposite way, and that gave it a really good coverage. So after that dries, what I'm going to do is I'll use the highlight color that I'm going to put into the grooves. I'll put that in and then I'll wipe off the excess. So I want to make sure that this base coat is really, really dry before I do all this. Otherwise, I'll wipe off the base coat, and I don't want to do that. So I want to make sure it's really dry, and then I'll come back and do the remaining technique for that. So, all right. What you doing over there?
I'm just playing. Playing and listening. And so one of the things, I've not played with this particular medium, the clay, as much, but it's clay to me as far as I'm concerned. But there's a lot of things I can do on this that I can't get away with traditional clay, because when you piece things together and you don't do it properly with traditional clay, they shrink and break off. This will do the same thing, but I don't have to deal with 2,000 degrees of firing, twisting, and the forces of heat. But if I'm doing something on here and I'm not happy, I can roll it up and roll it back out in a reasonable amount of time. But in this case, what I did is I kind of messed up and put a big dent in it, and I didn't like it, so I patched it. And so, like Amy said, you don't want to use a lot of water, but I just dampened my finger and just wet the base of what I was trying to patch, and I got a little pinch of clay, and I put it on there, and then I just rubbed it back and forth and rubbed it back and forth until it kind of smoothed out, and then I re-imprinted it. Now, she mentioned the hairdryer. When that clay's wet, because you've smoothed it all out, because you've got the patch, you got to kind of dry it, because I kind of almost screwed up again because I put my stamp, which I'm just using the battery, and I pressed it into the very wet clay, and it stuck, and it didn't release like it did the first time. So if you've got a little hair dryer, or you've got a little patient, or let's say you're working on more than one thing at a time, put that one off, kind of let it dry before you start tooling it around, because the wet clay, regardless of what kind of clay it is going to kind of stick and get messy.
So something else that I've found to be helpful is when I'm painting these little ornaments, and I've already made, these are ornaments that I already made previously and are hard and ready to paint. So make sure you dry them first.
Like Martha Stewart cooking program, right?
Right. So like I said, make sure you dry them first if you're using the air dry clay, or if you're using kiln fire clay, make sure they're fired first. But basically, I already cut the holes in them where I'm going to put the wires and all that kind of stuff. So when I go to paint them, sometimes it's kind of messy trying to get the paint on them. So I usually use one of the handles of my another little paintbrush to hold, like, in the hole that I created, and that kind of holds it in place, so I don't have to touch the sides, because the sides are, I've got paint on them, and it's going to get wet and yucky. So, all right, cool. So, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm just putting a couple coats of the base coat on these guys first. I'm gonna let those dry completely, and then I'm gonna show you how to basically come back later and then add, well, what you're gonna do is after the base coat dries completely, you're gonna come back with another color, fill in the grooves, but then have a wet or damp cloth or paper towel handy so that you can wipe off the stuff that's not in the grooves, so that the new color stays in the grooves and not on the outside. So you have to make sure the base coat, in order to do that, is really, really dry so that you don't wipe it away. Hopefully that made sense. So, all right. So while I'm letting those dry.
What we haven't done is we haven't thrown these in the oven at like super low at 180 degrees and see how quickly. So we'll test that and we'll post it on the site. So here's what I'm thinking. So you get together, you get a couple kits, and you share tools in your social bubble, and you have some extra clay, and you make a bunch of ornaments, and you kind of want to continue and decorate them all at one time. Well, it might be that you could make them and put them in the oven for 15 or 20 minutes and dry them out, and have a glass of wine.
Yeah,
and then come back while you're working on some, and then kind of rotate them in and out, kind of like baking cookies. We'll make the dough, we'll cut out the cookies and put them in the oven, and then they'll eat them.
Yeah, we haven't tried that yet,
so we'll try that and post it online. I'm pretty sure it would just accelerate it. What I'm most concerned about it is it dries and cracks, so we'll make sure.
Right.
But that will accelerate the time for those of you who struggle with delayed gratification and have to wait a day for it to dry or two.
Or, like David said, if you're doing it with other people and you're wanting to create a whole bunch of things, it'd be nice to kind of be able to do that in one fun group, one sitting, instead of coming back and doing it again. Although that might be fun too.
It's all ideas, options.
Exactly. So while that's drying, I also want to show you what I did. Again, another very easy technique. It's basically the same ideas as what I'm doing here. But so, like, if you've got some grooves that you want to put, again, a highlight color in, and then come back later and add the color around without filling up the top, filling up the indentations where the letters are. The way I would do that is, I'll show you on this one. Very cool. Show them.
So there's the front. I had to kind of redo my lettering a little bit because I kind of pressed it out. No big deal. And in the back, so it can have a decorated back and I can paint or put some bling in, I just took that battery and the end of a paintbrush and just went to town on it. And each one of those indentations, if I want to put a bling or glitter or something like that in it, I can do whatever I want later.
Yup. All right, so what I'm going to do is have a damp or wettish paper towel handy.
And by the way, pottery, when you're a potter, you make up words. And one of the easiest things to add to words is ish. Wet-ish. That's a potter thing.
Yes.
I learned that from Tim.
Yes, I do a lot of ishes. Anyhow, so what I'm going to do, just again, highlight the grooves that I put in the clay when I was making the ornament, and now, bless you, bless you. These are hard now and dried, but I'm going to take some black paint. I'm just going to, not carefully, make sure that the grooves are filled. So, like that, right? Doesn't look good. And now I'm going to take my wet paper towel, and now I'm going to just skim across the surface of that and pick up the paint that's not in the grooves, okay?
Like a relief.
Yeah, this is a relief, exactly. So I'm taking my wettish rag, that black is actually really good. This is the first time I've used these new enamel paints that we have for the kit, so kind of excited. But yeah, the colors are nice and intense, so that's great. So I'm just wiping away again with a wettish, dampish, all the stuff, and I'm not digging the grooves to get the black out. I'm just wiping across the surface, right? And then with the dry side of my paper towel, taking off the rest. And that leaves the, that makes a nice, that highlights your pattern, right? And so at this point, with the paint, what you want to do is come over the surface and not go into the grooves because you've just put the other color. So what I found to be easiest, because I'm showing you two different ways. Basically, this way that I'm starting to work on with these, I'm putting the base coat or the main color body on first, and then I'm going to come over and I'm going to add another color into the grooves, and then I'm going to wipe away on the surface after this is dry, so that the new color is just in the grooves, right? But this, I'm doing the opposite. I'm starting with putting the color in the grooves, and now the challenge is with the paint is to just skim over the surface and not have it run into the grooves, because otherwise it covers it, what you just did. So what I found to be easiest and what I did, and you can kind of do some fun techniques like this, is I do a lot of painting with rags and paper towels and stuff. So what I found is I use a paper towel, because that way it's a brush. It's, first of all, it's not runny liquidy and it's not going to run into the grooves, but also it's not going to, well, it's going to stay on the surface. The paper towel is flat, and so it's not going to shove the color into the groove. So let's say I wanted to do, well, how about green? What I would do is take my paper towel, kind of a flat side, just going to put a little paint on the paper towel, and then I can actually just pat it on top of the surface of the clay. And then that way I'm not getting paint into the grooves that I've just highlighted with the black, right? And I find that to be a little easier for around the letters and things than with a brush. Because sometimes with a brush it's a little harder to not get it into the grooves, okay? And it kind of, you can do some kind of cool textured effects with that. And of course, if you do get any, you know, if you do get a little, like I see there's a little, I got a little bit of green, you can just really easily touch that up. But again, you can see it really didn't do anything to it. So I would do that. In fact, I'll do it not holding up so I don't get green all over my hands, but but that works really well. And it's a easier technique I find if when you're trying to highlight that relief like that. And it doesn't take a lot of precision or skill or anything. So now I'm just going to tap, tap, tap with the paint on the brush. Again, I'm tapping with a flat paper towel with my finger behind it so that it stays on the surface of the clay and doesn't go into those grooves where I have the letters and things. All right. So a little bit different way of doing it, but I think it makes it a lot easier to try to get it the way you want it. All right. And what I did on this little red one is I actually put down the red like that in that way. And then I came back over with some white and kind of tapped and made a little pattern so that it was kind of a two-tone thing, which I thought was kind of cool. So now I've got this going on, and I can hit the edges with a brush because that might be easier than this at this point. And then once that dries, of course, I would turn it over and paint the back. And then, like I said, I'll probably come over it with another color just to kind of give it a little more texture and interest and stuff. Ooh, that's cool. So David's doing something cool while I'm jabbering.
So one of the neat things is I'm making little clay ornate things to put on here. Okay, I can put them on now, but I can always glue them later. And I just took the cookie cutter, this little mini cookie cutter, and the saran wrap, and boom. Since I don't have circle ones to make a snowman, I'll just make a couple of little hearts.
I got
the big ones.
the big one.
Yeah, I'll make one of those next. Cool. So while we get this light pause, what I'm working on is this quote-unquote business card-sized gift tag, okay? And it might be kind of cool to have it flat, but I might, when I get done, just kind of wrinkle it a little bit, make it look like it's, got some texture to it, like a wrinkled up card. So when it's sitting on the box, it's not just flat. It's got some character to it. And
cool
here again, I've got two sides of this clay. So depending on how I do this, I can make it a gift tag, but I can also put something really special on the other side and either reuse it or I can repurpose it, make it a magnet or a gift, to Amy, I love you. It covers Valentine's Day and Christmas.
There you go. We're all about the efficiency, huh? Yeah, you can do, so again, you can really do so many cool things. So that's why we were kind of thinking it'd be fun to do like a little contest because to get you inspired and then...
And to humble us, because I know you guys...
Oh, you guys
would
always...
do like amazing stuff, because I'm always like, oh.
Yeah, you guys always do the coolest stuff. I've never, I never would have thought of in a million years. So it's really, really always fun to see everybody's stuff. And I really do appreciate those of you that have posted, your pictures in our group because, man, that just makes our day. It just makes it so everything worthwhile to see the cool stuff everybody's doing.
Spreading the joy.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cute.
I probably saw this somewhere at one point,
Who cares? It's still cute. But yeah. So he's, make sure you round any edges, of course, that you cut out. Fun stuff. So I'm going to let those dry. Let's see if this is dry enough. Okay, this might be dry enough that I can show you the other way. Hopefully it's dry enough. If it's not, you'll see the paint come off. So, oh well. Okay. So, let me show you this other way here. So I'm letting my green little ornament dry. Kind of painted the edges, so I don't want to touch it. But so you can see, oops, you can see that turned out really nice the way I did it. And again, it was a really easy way to, if you have any patterns or indentations or lettering or whatever, that's a great way to do it. Just stick the black in there first, wipe it away. First with kind of a wet paper towel, then a dry paper towel until you get all the stuff off the surface. And then I came over with a paper towel, dabbed it, a flat piece of paper towel, dabbed it in paint, and then kind of patted it all over on top so that it's not getting in the grooves. It's just going on the surface. And that worked pretty well, and it's pretty fast. And again, I'm happy so far with these paints. I really do like the new paints. I think they give pretty good coverage, and again, I'm pretty excited about them. Anyhow, so, and then what I'll do, of course, is after it dries, I would turn it over, I would paint the back, and then I'll do another little color texture thing on top of that with patting it with the paper towel. And then at the very end, now these new paints have a little bit of gloss to them, which is awesome. But at the very end, what I still am going to do just to help protect it, and also because I like to give it that extra gloss, is I am going to use a sealer. So I usually use a spray Krylon triple thick clear glaze. I think that, what's that other major brand that makes it? There's the other, I think it starts with it's Rust-Oleum. I think they make it also a triple thick glaze. It's the same as their regular, which I've used this too, just the regular crystal clear enamel. It's just a little bit thicker, thus the name triple thick. Anyhow, but I just like it because it's fast and it dries really fast and everything. But as I was saying earlier, in case you missed it, anybody, I've been looking for something that would also waterproof and the air dry clay thing, so I could do some stuff for outside. So far, this is the best thing I found. It's called Aleene's Gloss Finish. I was really impressed with it, so I'm like, yes. And that way when I do like flowers or whatever, if I want to put them on the porch, or if it's going to get rained on and we're good to go or whatever. Or you could do these little ornaments. I've seen sometimes in the past where people have fences and then they put all these little ornaments and it looks so cute. So I thought that's another really cool idea, but you'd obviously need to have something waterproofed or resistant, really highly resistant anyhow. And I'm sure there are things, I haven't tried like Thompson's water seal or anything like that. Maybe that would work. So just a thought. But for these, I don't need to worry about that. I just want them to be pretty. so I'll come over, I'll do some different techniques, or maybe I would put, again, some nail polish glitter or something on it, whatever. Or, and then I would come over and spray it or brush on a gloss glaze after that's dry, right? The other thing I'm going to get, and I think I actually may have them, I have to unpack still, but is I ordered some, in addition to the upgrades on the kits, I ordered some glitter paint sets, so that if you order the kits or you order them for somebody else for Christmas or something, or you want to make, again, gift tags or whatever, and you want something a little more sparkle, that it'll be an add-on. You can add a glitter set too. So lots of fun stuff. Oh, that's a cool idea. Okay, this is cool. See, this is why I keep this boy around, because he comes up with the coolest stuff. So he just got a fork, and he's making by pressing it in, it looks like a stitch pattern, like you sewed it on. That's cool. Very cute.
And what I try to do is just things that not go into my bag of tricks that I've collected. Because as a potter, you see textures. You keep clay in your car, so you go by like a cool graveyard. You can press it into the clay and make all kinds of cool little cherubs and stuff. But I'm just trying to make the edges.
Yeah, if you want to start trolling graveyards.
Actually, there's some really cool
stuff.
The old stuff. They don't do it anymore.
We talked about that in New Orleans. You were like, oh, this would be so cool.
You can press it into the stone, leave it in there for
yes.
45 seconds, and then peel it out and make these great positives. And then you can make your images off of that and press molds and add them to mugs and Christmas
Very
ornaments.
Cool. Very
so
cool.
Y'all notice I can stack this. So I put the two hearts together, right? So not just one on one and one on the other. It gives me more real estate, but it also looks more special, and it adds a nice dimension to it.
Nice. So what I'm going to do is, again, what I was going to say is that I'm going to do the opposite painting technique. You know what I mean. I already talked about it. I'm going to add the paint I'm going to fill in the indentations with the other paint now that I think this is dry enough. Normally I would wait longer just to be sure, or I would use a hair dryer to make sure it's really dry. But I think this feels dry enough. So now earlier I put the base coat down, I put a couple coats down so that it has nice coverage. And now I'm going to fill in those patterns, those relief sections. And so again, it was the opposite of what I did on the green David ornament, right? Where I filled in the grooves first, and then I patted the color on top of the surface. This one I did the base color first, and then now I'm going to go back over and I'm going to fill in the grooves. And I want to work fairly quickly at this point because I don't want the paint to dry. I want to wipe it away while it's still kind of wet. So right now I'm just kind of really quickly with a pretty heavy amount going over, making sure that the yellow is in the grooves, because that's what I want. I want to push the yellow into the grooves with this, right? And then while it's still kind of wet, you want to take a dry paper towel and then just wipe away. See, I'm just wiping away flat across the surface. Of course, I'm getting lots of yellow everywhere at first. So you have to keep moving to a clean piece of the paper towel. But I'm wiping away the yellow on the surface, and I'm leaving the yellow into the grooves. And I've got some, which actually looks kind of cool, I have to say. So there's still some yellow that's kind of up here, which I think kind of looks cool. It's kind of textury, but you could at this point, as long as your paint underneath it is dry enough, take a little bit of a wet paper towel. And then if you have, again, with your paint dry enough, you should be able to wipe off the extra color. Hopefully you can see that. See how that worked? Pretty cool, huh? And then, like I said, I would let this dry. And when it's nice and dry, I'll go back and coat it with something. I don't have to, and especially now with the new paints, they have a little bit of gloss to them. And so this would actually look totally good, just like it is. I mean, again, we keep working and working, trying to find ways that, things work better or better, whether it's tools or paints, again, types of products or whatever. So we're going to keep trying to find the best things and then tell you about it or show you or offer it in the store or whatever. All right, so same thing on that little guy. I went over with a dry paper towel first, and now I'm going to come over with a slightly damp, wettish, to get the rest of that yellow. And again, see, so I'm highlighting that pattern that I put in when I made the ornament originally, which was with the doily that I pressed into the clay with the roller. And do that in this last one. And okay. Again, you want to make sure you work a little bit quickly on this part because you don't want it to dry on the surface. So I'm putting a good amount, I'm pushing it into the crevices. Okay. And once it's in the crevices, I'm going to take my dry paper towel first, wipe it across the surface. And once I wipe it once and I take off yellow, I need to move to a clean part of paper towel so that I'm not just getting yellow all over the place, okay? So keep moving to the new clean part of the paper towel, wipe, wipe, wipe. Once I've gotten most of that off, I'm going to take a little wet paper towel, wet part of my paper towel, and again, kind of run that across the surface to get any of the remaining yellow off of this orange. I just want the yellow in the cracks and the grooves and the relief, basically, okay? And then that's it. That's the ornament, which I think is really cool. Ooh. Can be a little bit messy, but that's okay. You probably won't be as messy as I am. So, all right. And then normally what I would do with this particular thing is the same thing I did with this little guy. Is I've got holes in the top and the bottom, and then for the last one, just in the top. And so I did the same thing here, right? So I used, again, like kind of an art wire type of thing. And then I also used some beads and things in the middle. which I thought looked really nice. And so I can do the same thing with that. I'm going to wait till this dries and then I'm going to paint the back first. But that's going to look cool. So, and then back to this particular little ornament, the green ornament with the David on it. Again, just to kind of give it a little more something texture, something. What do I want to do here? I'm not sure. What we can do is dab. Again, take a little corner of your paper towel. And again, I like to pick a flat surface of the paper towel, not one of the bent surfaces, because that will push. If I take a pointed part of the paper towel that I've got my finger behind, I don't want it to push the paint into the grooves. I want to just go across the surface so that I can keep the David as I have it nice and dark. So I'm going to take a flat part of the paper towel, take another color. This would be better to use the palette actually. And if you don't have a palette, just use a paper plate. But anyhow, maybe instead of dipping it in the little paint pot. So then you've got another color and you can just do the same thing you did with the green, but you're going to just dab it. Just to give it again, you can do whatever, but I'm just going to give it a little contrast. All right. Of course, I did end up getting a little bit in that, the David, but not too bad. And I can touch that up if I need to with the black paint. Or just take a little water and take away that paint I just accidentally added, so that's fine. So, like I said, lots of neat stuff you can do. Once that dries, again, I use fingernail polish. I'm really digging some of the effects I've had with that. So, and again, since I don't really use it on my actual fingernails, why not? I'm not even sure where I got this stuff from, so cool. All right. So that's kind of a whole bunch of cool ideas and things to give you. And again, if you missed this part earlier, oh, hey Megan, Kelsey, okay. So if you missed this part earlier, then we are going to do an ornament contest. And again, feel free, these are great gifts that you can use as gift tags also. You could write to so-and-so on the back and then have it be an actual ornament. But this one was, I pressed in while the clay was wet all these beads. I let it dry. And then since it's not glued in, if you're using, like if you had a couple really pretty beads, you could just take them out after it dries, glue it back in. But what I did, just because I'm lazy, is I was trying to find a faster way. I'm not lazy, I just was short of time. Anyhow, I actually came over it with some pearlized paint and to help stick it in there and get in the grooves with the brush. And then I kind of used a paper towel to brush up to kind of wipe off the paint from the surface of the beads. And then I also came over it with some Extreme Glitter by Folk Art, which was really pretty. It's a very subtle, you can't really see it here, but it was very sparkly and cool looking. So I went over the whole thing too, and that really helped cement those beads in and went over both sides. And then, but wait, there's more. Then I went over with the triple thick, the Krylon triple thick glaze, which again really worked to cement it in. And that way I didn't have to take out all the beads and glue them back in, although you could. So just throwing that out there, but that's a great way to do it. And again, this was done with a pin tool. I cut my own heart shape. I can't wait to get a little ribbon in there. It's going to look so pretty. But you can use cookie cutters. Again, I thought this works really well. You can use some little beads, some art wire. This one I did before, a long time ago, with some random pieces of copper and stuff. This has been hanging in my window for years, which I love, with my niece's names on them. And so anyhow, this is an idea too. You don't have to do it like this. You could just do one. That's kind of a great idea. You could keep it really, really simple using cookie cutters. Again, if you use that plastic wrap technique that David showed, it'll round the edges for you. Otherwise, you're going to want to use a dry finger to round out the edges. And then you can paint on there, David?
Yes.
You can paint on there with the paint, like the name and everything. All right. So lots of cool ideas. Again, as I was playing with this and thinking about stuff, if I was going to do, I love this idea, so I'm going to really work as much as I can to try to get this done before Christmas. But I'm going to try to do a little class so I can show you how to sculpt faces like I do on my face mugs and stuff. But these also will make really cute ornaments / gift tags. And you could, again, write something on the back, to, from, and then have a really cool ornament in the front. So I will do my best to get that out if I can in a couple weeks or something, so you have time to do some. But I can't wait. I think these are so cute, and I love doing the little faces. So I'll show you at some point how to do this. Hopefully sooner than later. Again, great ornament, or without the hole, you could do magnet or whatever. Whatever. I'm sure you can think of lots of fun, cool stuff to do.
And what I was doing is I was sneaking around, looking for different things that would be in everybody's house.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who sew, this is a sewing thing. Right?
Oh yeah,
This is a cool little texture tool.
I was thinking that would be so cool looking if you wanted to make it look like stitching on the edge. I hadn't tried it yet, but I wanted to find. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, you guys, wait till you guys see this. I love it. Keep you in suspense right now.
So I got my little stitching.
Can you see it? Yeah. Awesome.
Back.
Yeah, isn't that great? So it's so great. It looks like.
Another thing that's really cool. This is bigger. I was looking for a regular pen, the cap that would go to this pen. For cutting holes. These are great for cutting holes. They're also great. Do you have a cap for that, Andy?
No.
Is one of the things that many of you who are in the studio know I like to make things look like they're bolted and screwed on. So if I press this gently, okay, what it does is it puts a little circle. You can kind of see the little circle in there. And this screwdriver is too small, but I can come through and push a screwdriver in the middle of that circle. In this case, I'm just going to do it a couple of times because I don't want to go downstairs and get a bigger screwdriver. And what this does is, get it closer to the camera. Am I lined up?
Yep.
See how it's got the screw? And so I can come back and paint that with some gold paint or yellow paint or black paint or whatever and make it look like there's a screw on there, okay? Which can get kind of cool, especially it's a guy thing kind of, so if you're doing it for a guy gift card or if your guy friend is on there and he wants to make something a little bit more masculine instead of hearts and dug bins, you can really get creative with clay. And you can take a pizza cutter and you put it on the saran wrap and cut clay out in circles really nicely. You can also take that indentation, let me cap this, and I could basically make it look like there's a seam by putting an indentation down with a sharp object and then putting screws down the side to make it look like it's literally something that's screwed on there. Okay?
That's cool.
And that is a very cool technique. I do it with Phillips head screwdrivers. But it makes it look like my handles on my mugs are bolted on. But it actually, even from a pottery perspective, actually, because I'm pressing in on the Phillips head screwdriver, it actually helps attach the clay. So there's a couple screws on there. Okay, little bolts. Just an idea.
Very, very nice.
Yep. On mine, another way of doing that is you can cut through the clay. So let's just say I had this rolled out, which I'll do real quick. since I can. And I'm going to use my saran wrap, and I'll tell you why. Because if I stick this pen cap on and cut it through, the clay is going to end up inside the cap. And that's not too cool. But if I use this, then I can pull this off. Ta-da! I've got my little button. So this could be a button on a snowman or a gingerbread man. Okay, in this case, it's going to be my little screw head. So let me go back to my little example, which I wadded up through somewhere. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this indentation and kind of press it down, but then I'm going to take this and set it right on top of that hole and kind of press it some. Now when I put the screw, put a screwdriver in, like I said, I would not do this. Typically, I would use one bigger screwdriver. Okay. Now, folks, look at this. How cool is that? I can't hear them say, "Oh, that's cool."
Well, they haven't even seen it yet. They can't say that that's cool.
Yeah, they should say
They have to see it
automatically.
first.
Automatically say it. Okay. So now it looks like it's literally screwed down on top.
That's
okay.
Cool. Yeah, I
And
like that.
and that's just, these are just options and ideas. And when you start potting, you go into a store like Michael's or Hobby Lobby.
Sensory
just, like,
overload.
Oh my God, I can trace that. I can make a mold with that. Look at the texture on that. You'll start seeing things in a whole different world, and then you know you've got a problem. I walk into Hobby Lobby. Amy and I went in there last year, about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
And we walked in, they had crosses on sale.
David hadn't.
They were still like $100, and I just want to trace it. Well, we were there picking up some paint for the floor in our studio that Amy wanted. Some
Yeah, this is several years ago.
And I was impatient because, you know, it took someone that, it took someone with keys. We'll just put it that way. Someone that was authorized to use keys. And we waited about 15 minutes, which was more than enough time for me to wander around and find poster board, foam core poster board for $1 and a pen. And I went back over while we were waiting. I traced all the crosses that we wanted and went back to the studio and made my own templates for free. I bought the poster board, and it's got writing all over it, and the lady's like looking at it, looking at me, looking at Amy. It's okay. Put them back. Anyway, but these are the things that you can do.
Yes.
All right, I just throw that in there. And one of our students bought one of the crosses that was made on there that was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Just beautiful. I need to make another one of those.
Yes, you did.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these are just fun ideas. For those of you who scrapbook, you're probably way out of my league.
That's true.
You can do all this stuff.
Or if you're a baker, you know, a lot of techniques that you use in baking with fondant and stuff you can use with clay. And man, we have seen some really neat stuff come from bakers.
Now, keep in mind also, those of you who are scrapbookers, I would probably want to use a little punch. So in this case, let's say I was going to wrap ribbon all the way around this. Okay, look like it's laced and tied. Getting those holes consistently, I'd probably find a small straw or something, even a pen cap to put those holes in. That way I can core them out, cut them, and get them consistently. It gives me a little bit more control. But I also grabbed some wire. And you can do all kinds of stuff.
Fingernail polished. It's awesome. Actually, I'm looking forward to trying the new glitter paints that I got for add-on. So I don't have them unpacked yet. We just got back, and I've got the paints and boards and everything packed up in boxes. They've arrived. I just haven't unpacked them yet, which I will work on as soon as we're done here. So, but anyhow, we've got all kinds of neat stuff going forward. Like I said, for those of you that missed it, oh, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Good to see you. Well, to see you. But yeah, so we've got now that I finally was able to get a wholesale art supply account, which was great. I've got stuff now in the studio that we've got to upgrade to the paints. If they're enamel, which is great. And that's going to be for the air dry clay kits. We also have The boards now included with the air dry clay kit. So again, if you've gotten a clay kit previously that did not have a board, let me know. I will get you a board.
Do you know if they sell those letters? Like we have the yellow letters, the little stamps. I went to look online to see if I could find those.
Oh, yeah. I got them online. I don't know where.
So when I disappeared a little while ago, one of the things I was trying to do is find the place. I know they sell them on Amazon, but they're, so those of you who've been in the studio before, we have the little trays, the little plastic grooved trays, and the little tiny letters about that size. Slide in them so you can get the spacing, and then you can make. So if I make a to and a from, I can just stamp it and pass it around. And just like she had on her Yana and Anya hearts there, it just makes it a little easier to imprint the clay.
Yeah.
And I think they're like $5 or $6 for a whole set of these little letters.
Yeah, I don't think they were terribly
They're
expensive.
pretty inexpensive.
I mean, I don't know. I got them along.
But if you really want to do and play with some of this, I think it's a really good investment if we can find them easier, because it allows you to go a little faster and a little more consistently. And if you've got a large family or a bunch of friends, after you add us to the gift list, it's just really easy to get with a group of people and grab some clay and roll these out and just have a lot of fun having some malt cider or your beverage of choice.
Beverage of choice.
Yes.
That's right.
They're chilling on here.
So yeah, so again, lots of ideas, lots of things also that will be again have available. I use, as you've seen in probably my classes and things before, for the air, if you've done any air dry clay classes or on-demand classes where I talk about air dry clay, I use triple thick glazes, and I use Aleene's acrylic gloss for really good water resistancy. And I have those once I unpack them in the studio. I have those available now for sale. I'll put them online too. If you order any clay kits for people, you can also add those on if you want to for them. It's just a great way, again, to protect, give a little extra protection to the paint that you put on, and give it a little more gloss and shine like traditional kiln fired glazes. So, and then I also have glitter sets of paint that you could use as well, that you can add on. And I do want to encourage you, because I'm so excited. It took me a really long time. It takes me a long time to do the on-demand classes, but I got the flower one done. I'm getting ready to release that tonight. I've got the dog one almost done. That'll be released in a week. And the thing is I was really wanting to get them done now, because I thought, what a great gift idea. So if you have any teenagers, especially, like I always had difficulty trying to figure out what to get for my nieces, who are amazing, and they're super creative, but they have like everything you could possibly want. And so I would usually try to come up with ideas, that maybe for their creativity, and a lot of people want activities and things like that instead of trying to just give them another something. So I thought these would be really cool ideas to give as a gift. So online right now we have the on-demand classes, which we have our the birds and the cats are currently free using the code Pay It Forward.
And one thing you didn't say,
what's that?
Is that's in part from the community.
Yes.
From Ponder Environmental Services,
yeah,
and the Business Association and Industrial Park Association.
Yes, it was from a business. So the reason we're able to offer those for free is that we got a grant at the beginning of the summer when we had the initial shutdown, COVID shutdown. So we got a grant from this group that got together. This was one businessman who decided, hey,
and his wife.
Yeah, and they wanted to help the businesses because they knew it was going to take a while for government funding to come in. And he himself went to other businesses that matched. I think he had
$500,000, $250,000.
I think he put up $250,000 of his own money. He went to other businesses, and so anyhow,
Valero
to help
matched it.
Yep. And so so with the Chamber of Commerce here and everything, basically they came to the aid as many people. They got way more asks than they could fulfill, but they personally delivered the checks, and they did it quickly, and they did it simply, and they did it. It was just really amazing and wonderful. So um, what we did with the money basically is we have allotted a certain number of classes with the on-demand classes, so that you guys can try it. Hopefully, you like it, and then at some point though we'll probably charge again for them. But it's only $20. But again, right now you can still get the cat one and the bird one, which is a great one for especially for beginners, or if you've got different genders and you're doing stuff together or whatever. It's always fun. People do the most amazing stuff, and I know several of you that are online right now have done.
And they can go online. We've got the pictures that people have shared for
Yeah,
some of them
exactly.
right there in this Facebook group.
Yeah. So that the bird one's great for that. It's simpler. There's less steps, and so it can kind of get you really involved, and it's a lot of fun. The cat one, I love the cat class. Because I showed 3 different faces, and the way I have the classes set up is I have segments so that you can skip anything that you don't want or you don't need. So let's say you've already done the bird class and you come to the cat class. You don't need to learn how to make the body again because it's the exact same body. So you can just skip over that section and go straight to, okay, the faces. And then if you wanted to watch the different faces and then decide, that would be fine. Or you could just kind of pick a face and then watch that particular section and then skip the ones you don't want. So I love that.
And for those that are a little slower, they can rewind and watch it again.
Yeah, and so there's so many things. And it's just a really cute. They're so cute what people do with them. So I'm excited. I've had those up for a while, and then I finally just finished the flower one. The flower one, again, it's only $20. The flowers are amazing. If you haven't seen the flowers, boy, they are so spectacular in a grouping. And so I designed it so you can put it on the wall. With the air dry clay, I figured out an easier way to do it, a little less involved than the way we were doing it with the kiln fired clay. And so anyhow, it's amazing. I can do bigger flowers. The air dry clay does stay moist quite long, and so you can do some really cool stuff. So I'm really excited. That's coming out tonight. And then I'm almost done with the dog class. I've done several dogs, and they're just drying, and I'm going to do the painting section. So hopefully that one will be out in about a week. So I figured those are really, really fantastic classes for pretty much across the board. If you want to give a gift to someone who's creative, adults, mostly adults do these classes anyhow. But like I say, sometimes it's hard to buy for either adults or teenagers. If you have anybody creative, it's a really, really good gift to do because, remember, it's also super economical. So once you get your kit, you have all the tools, and all you need to do is refill the clay and then the paints. The clay, you get enough clay for a couple of projects, and you get enough paint that usually lasts a couple of projects at least. And then, like I said, right now you can get the bird and the cat one for free. So it's a really economical, cool, fun thing
and
to do.
You've probably never heard of it. It's this really cool software called Zoom. Oh, wait. Everybody knows that now. Okay. No, seriously. It's a gift that you can give somebody, but you can also do it with them. So if you've got, a lot of people aren't going to be traveling as much, and we're trying to be respectful of large gatherings. So our nieces that we're not going to get to see this year, we can send them a refill kit because they've got kits, and we can set up a Zoom session and share the video and do it together. And that's pretty cool, y'all. It's really cool. So It's something that you can do, and if they like it, it's a great thing, especially for those that have grandkids and siblings and just people you're close to. Send them some clay after they've got the kit, and hey, we want to do this project, or Amy just posted a such and such. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to. You already have the tools and the paints. And a little bit of the skill set. So if it's, if she says it's intermediate, well, if you've done one of the projects, you're intermediate because you've got those basics down that she may not review in as much detail. And
yes.
Bingo.
So I'm excited.
Giving.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm also trying to figure out, hopefully I'll have figured out in a few days, some kind of nice packaging for gift, so that again you can order it online, and then I'll figure out how we can know that it's a gift. I have to still figure out all the details, but I want to be able to, since we can ship these really easily. I'll figure out how we can send it and you don't have to ship it. You can just order online, and we'll try to figure out some kind of nice packaging and cards and stuff so that you can just send it as a gift. Because I love this idea. So I've been really working hard because it does take me a long time to do these classes.
Y'all have no idea.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot.
we go to Hawaii for our belated honeymoon and to
Our
go
many
spend some.
times delayed honeymoon.
Oh, you have no idea.
They have an idea, I'm sure.
So what does my wife do on the flight all the way down and all the way back until her battery dies? She's editing and working. And I'm like,
That's all right.
which is awesome, but then I feel guilty because I'm just like sitting there watching Star Wars. But no, it's there's a lot of time because someone is a perfectionist.
Well,
and she makes them so professional. And
Well, I really do gear especially the on-demand classes. A lot of you have done the live ones before, which we can't do as many of now. But the on-demand ones, they're more efficient because I can. So when you do live ones, I'm trying to like hurry and show you several different things for different skill levels, right? But the video ones, I can take more time because I can do a section showing you this and then showing you this, and so that way I'm not wasting anybody's time. Because if you come and you go, oh, I don't want to see the oversimplified face. I want to go to the more dimensional face. You can just skip that section. You don't have to wait and listen to me explain it to part of the class. You can just skip to that. So I love the versatility of them. The only thing I miss is the interaction. So please, if you would post your projects in the group. That's why I created the group, because it just makes our day to see what people do.
And if you want to know if you're a real ceramic artist, you share it. This is the coolest community. I came from both financial and high tech, and your intellectual property is your life. It's your bread and butter. And when I first took out pottery, I would ask a question, and it was almost rhetorical in my mind. They're not going to tell me how they did it. They would tell me in detail, specifically, and show me. And I'm still blown away. And when we were in Hawaii, we met at the generosity behind potters. And at one time, it was explained that probably one of the top 10 successful potters here in the United States, Randy Brodnick's, he told me exactly, and I was like, he's like, I can't wait to see how you do that. You know, he told me how he did it. Didn't mean I can do it. It's like a figure skater.
Right.
You jump up and you fly.
Right. Hi, Billy Joe.
Yeah.
I just saw you were online.
Hey, Billy Joe.
She was one of our first people to share her birds, which are so cute.
Yeah.
She got into them and did a whole family. So awesome.
Also, you know, I'm sitting here and Amy's talking and I'm trying to behave. And that's a struggle. For those of you who know me, that's a real struggle.
That's very
But
true.
I'm looking at this little tool. Well, this is a cool little cutter, and we showed you how to mark with the stitching. But what's this? Look at the back. Okay, I'm a potter. What does that do? Makes really cool imprints. Look at that. So I can make a ladder with that by pushing this on here and then taking my popsicle stick. And a popsicle stick, that's also how I can do fish scales for making mermaids. But I can put an indentation down both sides of this, and bingo, I've made like a ladder. Okay, or just a cool little ridge design next to my little screws there.
Very cool.
So when you're looking around and before you sit down, so you don't have to get up, walk around like I did, start looking at stuff and take your practice clay and press it in there, because you can roll it back out again and say, "Oh, that's kind of cool. That would be really cool along the edge," or something like that. And that's kind of the fun. That's half the fun of some of the creativity is doing kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, watch for the. Again, I just came up with this today that I'm like, oh, I got to show them how to do this. So I will, at some point, hopefully before Christmas, if I have the time, I'd love to show you how to do the faces, because I think they make the cutest little ornaments. And these are the faces I do on my face mugs. And I do love the face mugs. And if you're in our area, I haven't sold them before, although it turns out David just let the cat out of the bag that he did sell some of my mugs. I didn't know. Anyhow, but
Nick
I haven't had a...
Nick.
Yeah, Nick. No. Good job, Nick. Anyhow, I have some great ones but I'm going to work on a selection to have specifically for Christmas because they're such. I just think they're so funny, and I think.
Hey guys,
So my favorite mug is mine that I made that has a funny face.
and
So.
since the cat's out of the bag, we're going to have the Damie collection.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
we
so
are.
what's going to probably happen is I'm going to throw
David
the mug,
and Amy, the Damie collection,
and she will ornate the mug with really cool faces, and
mm-hmm.
I'll probably do a few because I actually
yeah.
one. She taught me, and if I can do it, y'all can do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to have the coolest display in the shop, and I'm not going to give you any details. I'm going to leave that suspense, kind of like in the art, they've got the covering over it. You kind of look around. We're going to have a really, really cool, probably.
Actually, we don't need to hide it. So basically,
I want to torture
no, because I'm hoping to have hopefully I can get an email done and have all the info out there tonight, but along with the flower class. But if not, I'll have it out soon. But basically what we were going to do is we're going to open up. So obviously we want to make sure there's lots of space in our store so that people can walk around in social distance and still can come shop. We have amazing, if you've never seen David's pottery, you need to come check it out. David is an artist. We have great stuff, and we have lots of stuff in our store besides pottery. Lots and lots, and great jewelry. So anyhow, what we're going to do though is we normally have the studio space, which is most of the area. We have the store in the front, and then most of the area in the back is studio space. But what we're going to do is we're going to open that up for the coming 3 Saturdays. And so that I want to feature some specific artists. We have one of our metal clay teacher who does incredible jewelry. Her name is Linda Bodie. She is an incredible artist. She does incredible things, and she doesn't show a lot of stuff anymore, and she does great stuff. So I'm going to have her come in one of those Saturdays with a special selection. What I'm going to show, we have a great wood artist who's amazing, and he's got some stuff he's working on. Yeah, Brian's going to bring some stuff in Wednesday, we have a great selection of that probably the next Saturday. I've got we're going to do our Damie collection of mugs, our face mugs, and then also you'll probably have a nice selection because he runs out of his mugs very quickly usually. So
I've got some that just came out, and we got some really cool.
Yes.
I mean, they're going very quickly.
Yes,
we got
some
really cool glazes.
Yeah. Well, because they're a great gift. I mean, who do you know? Somebody drinks coffee in your life, and it's something really special like that.
It's a handmade gift from your community. You're supporting your community.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a win-win all the way around.
Yeah. So one of the Saturdays, it's the third one that we're going to do is going to be mugs. It'll be our stuff. And again, I'm going to be working on a special selection. I've never had them out on the floor for sale before, but I love doing the faces. They're a lot of fun. They're so cute. And again, I'm hoping to show you also how to do the faces also in an on-demand class or something with the ornaments. So I'll be working on that too. But I can't wait because we're excited about showing the and Brenda Soy is one of our jewelry artists who does most of our jewelry that's in the store right now. It's just incredibly beautiful, and she uses precious and semi-precious stones and she uses really high quality materials, and I just think I love her stuff. And so one of the Saturdays will be showing an amazing selection of all of those her work. She's not going to be there, so I can't do it like a traditional trunk show. She's in San Leandro. She's still being, uber careful, which I totally get. I think Linda will be there for her part as long as we've got enough room and it's safe enough so that you can meet her. Clearly, we'll be there during our little show. But anyhow, so I'm gonna have that roll out. I'll advertise that so you know when that is. But hopefully, you'll come join us. Like I say, we'll have lots of space. But it'll be these specific Saturdays before Christmas. So if you're looking for a unique gift for a hard-to-buy person, we're going to have something on those Saturdays.
They don't have to be hard to buy. They can just be really cool people. Clay's cool.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. But I'm excited because, obviously we appreciate you all so much. And we know that you all support, small businesses, and everybody's doing their best to. And we do really try to have really, really great stuff. I put some things online that I can ship like the aprons that are fantastic. In fact, I forgot I was going to wear. We have amazing aprons.
I have my shirt. We sell the shirt.
Yeah. Anyhow, those are easy to ship too. But like I said, we're going to try to really. We've been working hard, so we are going to try to have some fun with this as well. And we're looking forward to the upcoming season. So I'm gonna let you all go because it's 2:00, and
I have to show them my fish
oh
scales.
yeah, this is very cool.
Since while she was talking, I did my little fish scales. So if you did a mermaid gift tag, for instance, I don't know if that shows up really well in the picture.
Yep.
And
So
all that was done was by staggering, by taking the end of the popsicle stick
Yep.
and putting it in indentation. So I do a row, right? And then I just stagger it, just like putting shingles. So where it comes down, that's what I put the top of the arch. And like I said, I play with it with a piece of scrap clay that I can roll out. I don't wait to get all my fancy stuff done. And my gift tag, I didn't put any screws in this one, but didn't that come out cool?
So cute.
And in the back, I can leave it blank and write on that as well. One of the things I will say that's kind of fun is tradition. And so if you start something like this and it goes well, put the dates on them. Even if it's just a little 2020, we all want to remember and forget 2020.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if you really want to remember.
If you make it an ornament, so if you make something like this as an ornament, it's nice to have on the tree throughout the years and remember, oh, that's from 2020. And it just brings up different things in the memory. And so
Yeah.
forth.
Oh, yeah, 2020.
So, but seriously, 2021, it's neat. And if you do something like this and it is a hit, then it's tradition.
Should we tell them? So I think what we're also going to do for the face mugs, we've got a bunch of stuff planned. We're planning, hopefully, I'll have time to do all this. I'm really working on it, making time for making fun stuff and creating. Because I actually haven't had much time to do that in the past. So we're doing this.
She's too busy cleaning up all my messes and running the business.
But you know what? We're getting there. So this time for Christmas, I've got one day for our show. So I'm really going to work to create a good selection of stuff. But so also we're hoping to do like little shot glasses that have the faces on them.
The mug shots.
And we call them mug shots, which I love this idea. So I'm excited about that. And we'll probably do some face mugs with masks because, yeah. So, they'll be cute. They'll be cute.
They'll be cool. I know a lot of us want to forget, but
I know. But you know what? One day we'll look back on this and laugh.
Doubt it.
Or maybe just sigh with relief. Whatever.
Well, most of us grew up with, like for me, grandparents in the Depression, and they always talk about
that's right, yeah.
some horrific time. And
that's right. So here we go.
Yeah, for families from Europe, we've been very lucky in this country with very little wars. Like, you tend to forget about it.
Yeah. So now we've got our experience to draw from. Now we're just widening our perspective. Yeah, check.
Done with it.
Oh, okay. So we're done with. Yeah, we're ready to move on. And
we were. We go to Hawaii, not to brag, but oh my gosh, it was just wonderful. But we were ready to come home, and this is y'all are part of our community, and community's good.
That's right.
Phoenicia's an awesome place.
Thank you for being here or watching this later. Totally fine. We're just excited you're getting.
Yeah, if it's Halloween and you just now found this,
that's okay.
Happy Halloween, whatever.
Yeah, exactly, whatever. So all good. We'll keep putting some various things as we can, on the group. Now that we're a little more active, we've been kind of MIA for a couple months because of family stuff. But so we hope to kind of share some fun stuff like this that, as you take classes and do maybe the more intense, complicated stuff, not that it's complicated, but, the more intricate stuff, if you have leftover clay, this is a great thing to do with it, right? So we'll try to have some different things for you. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all.